today, a special treat. We are actually in Denmark. In fact, we are at a place called Vallø Castle, which today is a retirement home for wealthy people of nobility and also divorced women, apparently. We can't actually go inside, but we can wander around the outside of the building. It's around, I think it dates, this particular structure goes back about 500 years. In fact, if you check the text below, if there's any corrections you can see, I'm just literally doing this on spec. It is a rather beautiful building. It's made out of brick. In fact, most of the ancient buildings of Denmark are actually manufactured or constructed in brick. And this is a prime example of that architecture. It is absolutely exquisite. You'll have to forgive the wind. Denmark is always very dull and windy. But I love Denmark, and I certainly love this building. And the gatehouse entrance here is quite magnificent. You can't go in, but I think we can walk up to it and we can show you some of the detail of the stonework. And let's have a little view around here. There's lots of places to see. And we've got this lovely moat. In fact, it seems to have two moats surrounding it. So it's quite an important building. It's actually owned by the Vallø Trust. But as I say, we're not allowed inside, but we can give you a view of some of it. Now, this is the entrance. As I say, stone in Denmark like this is very rare. So look at the detail. It is absolutely exquisite. And the lion. Oh yes, there's a... You probably can't see it. There's a man on the plaque. Certainly a lion here. What do you think of this place, honey?
It's beautiful. I mean,
Sorry?
What could you think of a place
It is
like
beautiful,
this? It is
isn't it?
beautiful, yes.
Yeah.
And unexpected as well.
What a magnificent building.
It is beautiful, yes.
Obviously the piece we're looking at in front of us is going to be 17th, 18th,
yeah.
18th century. And around the brickwork here, the Danes have a love for brickwork in ancient buildings, probably because of the availability of the right stone that they need to construct. And even some of the ancient churches are made of brick, which for people that come from, for example, Britain, it probably actually finds it rather confusing, because you expect anything to be made in brick to be relatively modern, but quite clearly that's not the case here in Denmark. Oh, this is beautiful, isn't it?
I would say this is my favourite part.
You're at the 18th century edition. Anyway, that's as far as we can go. So we're just going to wander back outside. And look at the entrance gatehouse from the inside of the courtyard. An amazing amount of detail. I think it dates to around 1586. So my step out the wind. I think it dates to 1586. So my summarization of what I can see is probably about right. very, very windy in this gatehouse. In fact, at some point you're going to hear music because the dialogue is virtually impossible under the wind that we're experiencing. There is a walkway down here. Should we go for it and see if it gives us another view? I mean, certainly, let's have a look at these old buildings here. There's some very ancient structures here in Denmark, and in a way, not remotely at all, it does remind me of Romania, the old buildings of Romania in Transylvania. Denmark has always been one of my favourite countries. It's a very clean country. The people here mostly speak English. Also, their sense of humour is very, very similar to the British. In fact, I've never seen a cleaner country. We're in private land here, so we can't go any further. But at least we can see this would appear to be the old stable block, because you have a number of entrances which are all sealed up. In fact, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's probably 7 stalls for horses. But look at this view here. It's a pity it's a very dull, miserable day, but unfortunately that's Denmark in October. And now for some music as we wander further down the path. I mean, who doesn't love stone cobbles? Do you love stone cobbles?
Yes.
We're going to try and get around to the other side of the building to give you a view of the architecture. As I say, we can't actually go inside any of the buildings because they're all converted into apartments for these rich ladies of nobility.
Without wooden work.
Oh, look at that wooden bridge. You probably can't see it here, but that is truly magnificent. And at this point, I'm going to go off camera just for briefly. Now, just as we're walking along this gravel pathway, I have espied an unusual structure that goes underground. You can probably see it just here on camera. That actually is an ice house. And you can see that this structure is entirely made of stone, because stone has good insulation properties, and this would have been used to keep the ice for the summer that they would have needed rather to have gotten through hot weather, which I think they do have hot weather here occasionally, don't they? And look at this view here. So the ice house is just there on the right, and there's a nice side view of the castle with its moat. An unusual castle, to say the very least. I mean, obviously it was a fortified manor house when it was built. There's a nice little gate here, nothing too fancy, but give you a nice view of inside. Yeah, it's a maple of some description, and the leaves are really almost like vermilion, aren't they? Very bright red. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I don't know whether you can see this on camera. There's a beautiful row of trees silhouetted against a very cloudy sky. And what are you smiling about?
There was a nice how the sun was starting to work.
Yeah, the sun briefly escapes, but Mother Nature's made sure the sun's gone back in again.
It's very, very cold.
Yeah, I mean, we've come from Bucharest,
23 degrees.
23 degrees Celsius down to 14 degrees Celsius. We're actually, the weather situation here is very similar to the UK today. The UK has a similar weather pattern. Oh, we're coming up to a stone wall. There's obviously an edifice in there. It's probably a cemetery, actually. That would be exciting, wouldn't it?
Very nice, yeah.
I understand there's a princess actually buried there. This obviously would have been the estate burial ground for the people that lived here, but some quite famous writers and authors, people from very many artistic persuasions are actually buried here too, so I understand.
Poppy would have loved this.
Who?
Poppy would have loved
Oh,
it here.
Poppy, yeah, she would have gone absolutely mental. It's a lovely park though, isn't it? And I bet this is locked. Let's have a look. Oh no, no. Okay, this is the estate cemetery.
The graveyard, there you go.
And you might be able to read some of the text on there. Probably not. Let's try and help you a little bit. It says that a chapel was created in the northern wing of the castle of Vallø in connection with the rebuilding of the castle. This church, consecrated by King Frederick IV in the same year, and by ordinance dated the 26th of June 1740, it obtained the title of Chapel of the Castle. From the foundation of Vallø Stift in 1737, vicars have been employed, and after the fire in the castle in 1893, the castle chapel was not rebuilt, and the benefice of the castle chapel was abolished in 1908. The parish of Vallø Stift was transferred to the vicars of Valløby and the church of Valløby, which was owned by Vallø Stift. On the 28th of October 1979, the church was handed over to the parish of Valløby. This graveyard was consecrated on the 11th of August 1763. Originally, it was not intended for the burial of the Originally, it was not intended for the burial of the noble ladies of Vallø Stift. The funeral services of these were performed in the church of Valløby. But in 1807, the graveyard was extended, and a number of the noble ladies of Vallø Stift had chosen their last resting place to be here, close to the castle, including the third and last abbess of the castle, Princess Sophia Magdalena. She died in 1810, and a sepulchral and a monument with a broken pillar was erected in her memory. In 1827, the graveyard was extended by 24 feet towards the north and 32 feet towards the south, and at the same time, the still existing limestone wall was built. The chapel of the graveyard was built in 1877, and in the northern side of the graveyard wall, a tombstone is bolted. The origin of the tombstone is unknown. In the corners of the stone symbols of the evangelists, St. Matthew and St. Mark, St. Luke and St. John, are carved together with an epitaph on three persons who died in 1591, 1592 and 1601. Okay, well, let's have a wander around. This is the monument to Princess Sophia that we're coming up to now, and here it is here.
That's her initials, SM.
Yep, Sophia Magdalena, and this is her monument, and you can see the initials here. If we bring the camera up close, hope that you can see this, and we can scan round the actual cemetery. Oh, and the sun's out. Wow, what is this light? Oh, I can't bear the light. And here's the little chapel, and I say little chapel because that's exactly what it is. It's very, very small. That large oaken door. Is it open? I very much doubt. No. I mean, in England, metal crucifixes or memorial markers made out of metal tend to be an indication of paupery, that the people who died couldn't afford to pay for their funeral, and these markers were erected. But here it's completely different in Denmark. It's just really a lifestyle choice.
I'm trying to find those medieval inscriptions. Those three.
That's bolted.
Oh, I see.
I think if we walk along here, I mean, there's more contemporary graves here. We've got Vallø Castle and Alice Cragg, died 1988 and 2009. Here's just a simple marker for somebody who died. This is quite ancient, or it appears to be. This stone marker, but it's very badly worn, so it's very difficult to actually read. Jens Hansen, but I can't see a date. And if we just wander down here really and see what we can find. This is quite an impressive stone, but this dates to 1918. Oh, the light! Isn't it the light now? Isn't this so beautiful? Oh, look at this. Eleanor Caroline, she was the Contessa Schill. And I can't read anything on this one, can you, honey?
Antoinette, Augusta, Wilhelm, Thun, von Thun.
Sounds very Germanic, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
what about this large stone here? Look, it's missing it actually. If we look here, it's missing the crucifix. That's disappeared long ago.
oh, yeah,
And the same with the Contessa's grave.
yeah.
And we have another one here. I don't know if this is somebody of noble birth.
I'm reading an 1862 on one side, but
It's difficult to read some of these. I find it quite amusing that we have this difference between differences in people and humanity. We have those who obviously are the inverted commas the elite because of their wealth and because of their background, and this is represented very much by the people who are buried here. The female Danish elite. I can't find that medieval stone that's bolted to the wall.
no.
It could be covered in ivy, couldn't it? Yeah. We'll just wander down to the corner here again. We couldn't have chosen a much better day really for this because it's cold, windy. Oh, here we are. Here we have the stone.
This is the one we posted.
It is so obvious. Why did we miss it?
Because we're looking for a little one.
I
Like a
know,
tiny
we're
one.
looking for these little gravestones. Here, I mean, you can see a lion. You can see the Archangel, I think Gabriel. And then we have this central plinth.
That's 1601. You can read. This
Yeah.
is 1590.
You're not going to read this, but this is 1599, 1559, I think. And then down the bottom we have 1601, isn't it? That's what it looks like. So this is the stone that they were referring to, and it's probably the oldest stone in the whole site.
I would say, oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But again, the Danes have a love for, should we say, florid carvings. There's so many beautiful things that are carved on here. And again, we just scan around inside the cemetery. And in this beautiful sunlight, should we wander out and go further afield? What other joys are there? I think a lot of people would come here and just find it, I don't know, boring, but I find it absolutely fascinating. Okay, we're going to go down this pathway. I mean, look at the woods at this time of the year. This golden sheen across the ground. I think these are ash trees. I wouldn't be surprised if there's private properties that range off from here.
I would say so, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, if you're going to live in Denmark, wouldn't this be a great place to live? Nice village. And we're going to explore the village a little bit later.
This tree is so bizarre. Look how it's green.
Yeah, this is a private estate, modern house. Not very exciting at all, actually, and it's covered in scaffolding, so it's been renovated. It's a lovely pathway, isn't it, through the countryside? We arrived in Denmark yesterday, didn't we?
But there's another private estate there.
Yeah, we were absolutely shattered. So today is our first day to actually get out and appreciate the countryside.
This tree is so... I don't think it's anything that except modernity.
Yeah, it just goes on and on. So what we're going to do, we'll spin round. We are going to turn the camera off and then turn it back on again, hopefully at the castle with sunshine on it. Let's see what happens. Okay, we found a gate that actually allows us much closer to the castle inside the estate. So we're going to walk under this what looks like a willow tree, but I don't think it is. And the sun's out now. What? I mean, come on. I mean, for Denmark and sunshine on a day like today, when it was, according to the BBC website, it was going to be cloudy with heavy rain. Oh, look at this tree. Oh, and the castle from here, look. There's even a public toilet. Look at that.
Oh, that is impressive.
Yeah. Right, okay, we're on the magical path. We're on the yellow brick road. Well, yellow leaf road. Now we're going to look at the castle from different angles. See, when we arrived here, we thought it was private because, but we realised there were no signs forbidding us. And we spoke to a local window cleaner who'd obviously been busy inside the castle, and he said, no, you can wander around, but you can't go inside the properties. It is a lovely estate to live on. I mean, I personally, as much as I love this building, I find it incredibly boring to live here long term. Because all you're getting here, really, you've got a nice, probably a modernised apartment. Probably doesn't have a lot of historical detail, but you have a spectacular view around the estate, and of course it's open to the public, which is part of the trust agreement. More closer to the moat. Oh wow. Sun's gone in again very briefly. You hear my foot walking through the leaves. The sun's a bit bright on the one side, but we're in shadow. You probably can't see this very well, so I'm going to walk further up and then turn the camera back so hopefully you can see the detail. And we're coming to the other side of the ice house. So basically ice was taken from the moat It was placed inside the ice house during the winter, and it kept the castle provided with a means to provide a chilled food throughout the summer. Okay, we're now coming to as far as we can get to. Which is basically the back of the ice house. And look at this. Oh, that is so stunning. It's beautiful. I want to take it home with me. It really is beautiful. And that lovely bridge that takes you over the moat. As I say, there's two moats here. There's an inner moat, which we're looking at, and an outer moat. Okay, that's brilliant. Let's go and have a look at this bridge, which looks very old, but it's certainly not something I would like to walk on.
And strangely enough, it's not cold. You could actually walk on it.
It might well be safe.
Yeah.
What is wrong? Well, you're going to go and test it.
No.
One is going to go on the bridge because she's smaller and lighter than me. So I'm sure if there's anything wrong with the bridge, she'll be perfectly safe.
I'm a good swimmer.
Whereas me, I mean, I'm a big guy. If I climbed on the bridge, I'd probably go through the boards and end up drowning. And then, do you want me to drown in the moat?
No.
So why can't you go on there? I'm joking. I think the entrance to the actual bridge is covered by gorse and shrub. But yeah, we have this rinky-dinky wooden bridge. Really struggling at the moment. You can hear the wind, can't you? It is really windy today. I was actually going to bring my drone, but strangely, out of all the, you probably can't hear me, out of all the airlines in the world, Wizz Air are the only airline that forbids drones. So I was forced to leave my drone at home. I would love to have droned this. Let's show it on camera anyway. And again the same initials, S and M, Sophia Magdalena.
I do believe in that building that we've seen, the one that I said I preferred that one, from the 18th century. If you look upstairs on the top, there is a princess,
Yeah.
a bust of a lady that wears a crown.
Sorry, you say upstairs on the wall.
On the wall, there is a bust of a lady who wears a crown.
Where's
She
the
looks
crown?
very imposing.
It
In the building from the 18th century.
could
So
be
that could
her.
actually be her. Since her initials are...
Would you like to go and see a folly in a minute?
Okay.
Every estate's got a folly, and I'll go and show you their folly. Let's walk over here first. Oh, look at the back, scaffolding. And this is a view of the bridge, if you can see it. I'm trying to get to a position which allows enough light. This is the bridge that takes you side doors onto the estate. I suppose it was used in the old days. I mean, looking at the structure at the corner, I don't think that's particularly old, do you? I think that entrance was added much later.
Oh, look at that bird.
Oh, look, a heron,
Yes.
which you're not going to see on this camera. So what I'm going to do in a minute, if the heron stays there long enough, I'll take a photograph.
I've seen one in England.
Yeah, that beautiful
male.
heron. Yeah. Do you want to hold the camera while I sneak up?
Mm.
Isn't this beautiful? This is like an extension of the original moat. And sadly someone's thrown a rubbish bag in the pond. And unfortunately we get that everywhere. But
I need a coffee.
let's go and see the folly. Well, you got your back turned to the camera. She's terrible. She is really terrible. And you're ruining the video actually, so you're being bad. Now stop misbehaving yourself. Otherwise I won't take you out again, okay? Right, we're going to go down to that.
Wow, look at the wind.
I know, the wind on the water. We're going down to that, what looks like a little African hut. And then we're going to have a look at the folly. I think it's a monument. Mum and Dad and their 3 babies. Oh, you're beautiful creatures. And sitting on an island, a makeshift island, are 4 ducks. Hello, beautiful. And your babies are absolutely gorgeous. Look, see how aggressive they are. They are quite aggressive birds. They really are. But they're so beautiful. I'm sorry guys, I've got no food for you. I wish, if I knew you were here, I would have brought 2 bags of Doritos. But unfortunately last night, one ate the whole lot, so I wasn't able to bring them. Didn't you?
I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're staying in a hotel nearby. It's a lovely view of the ocean, and there's a small field in front with cattle in it. But last night she snuck out of the room, came back about 20 minutes later. She was going to buy some wholesome food from a local supermarket, and I've never seen so much junk food in all of my life. And amongst them was hidden 2 bags of
Doritos.
and
Salsa.
a dip. Yes.
A dip.
I seriously wonder why I take her out with me sometimes. It's just terrible the things that she gets up to. Do you wish you were perfect like me? Not.
I know. Every time I go to bed, I think about it.
Okay, I'm just going to go off briefly and we'll be back on camera again. Okay, we're back on camera and we're going to wander over. I just want to show you what looks like a folly, but more probably is a monument. And just across the way here. And then once we finish from here, we're going to go back and have a brief tour of the village, and then we'll call it a day as far as this particular location is concerned. And wherever possible, I've included in the video descriptions of historical items that I've been able to verify. But as I say, this is the first time I heard of this castle. Until this morning I didn't know it even existed. So this is a first for me, and what a wonderful opportunity. You always feel, don't you, that when you're going to a set of steps that rises up off the ground onto a small hill, it's going to be something impressive. Or not. It's certainly not a folly, it's a monument. And we rise up these steps. Oh yeah. And then we climb to the top. Oh. Yeah, very, very civilized. Someone's dropped their bag of dog poop. And here it is. It's dedicated to Frederick George Julius, who was the curator for the Vallø Stift from 1864 to 1875. Wow. And of course the statue, the bust, has this rather imposing view of the castle. And let's go down the steps and you can see what I'm talking about much more clearly. Wow. Yeah, breath climbing those steps, but you can see it, can't you? The castle from there, and then the bust on the pedestal in the background. Okay, well honey, shall we go? We're both dying for a drink of water. Oh, these steps are terrible. Anyway, to save time, I'm going off camera now and we'll just reconnect briefly when we get to the other side. And we're back on camera again, and we're standing at the entrance to the castle. I'm going to turn around. The light's not good this side, unfortunately. The sun's shining down from the cloud. There's a very short street. I'm just going to take you down this street and show you these ancient properties. What a lovely street. I mean, this is how, well for me, this is how I imagine Denmark to be. But of course, like everywhere else, it has these places in isolation. But the majority of the country is very modern. But this is beautiful. We're in the street's called Slottsgade, and this is number 1. This timber framed house probably dates to the 16th, 17th century. A little bit more difficult with brick, because brick is a material they use a lot here in Denmark. I'll just stand over the road. And again, the sun's gone away. And this does remind me so much of Romania and Transylvania particularly. You know, you have these mostly single-story properties, but with these magnificent gateways, like a gatehouse, a mini gatehouse really, I suppose, that leads into a yard, and it gives you such a wonderful view of the castle, doesn't it, in the background. It's easy to wax lyrically in such beautiful places, and of course it's so quiet despite the omnipresent vehicles, modern cars, technology. This building on the left seems much more recent. And again, we're coming back to, you know, the idiom of what Romania represents in Transylvania, the architecture. And there are comparatives again, I'll show you. And look at this lovely, lovely house. Wow, isn't this beautiful? Okay, let's go back to the comparatives. It says private comrade. Oh, private inquire, sorry. And what I want to point out to you is these tiles on this post. and there's a few of these here. That is so indicative of Romania. Anyway, one more building and then I've got to go off camera. This is, it looks like an old barn stable. Probably a similar vintage to the barn that we saw, the house rather. Very Saxon looking, aren't they? I'm not sure whether you can see the detail, but if you look on the top of the roofs, you have these wooden laths that have padded down the tops of the thatching. Quite different to what you find in England. So I'll get closer for you. It's incredible, isn't it? How it varies. But I have to say, and I'm being a bit bigoted here, but I think the English thatchers are much better. But anyway, apologies to anyone who's Danish and watching. It's not meant as any form of offence, but some of the English thatched houses are, the roofs are truly wonderful. And this is where we end. I hope you've enjoyed this brief tour around this exciting castle with the site, the houses and the history of this area.